Right, so today I want to make a video about this guy, his tweet here. I'd never actually heard of him before. Zuby Music. He's got like 200,000 followers on Twitter. He's got to be relatively popular, but I mean, he said he's a rapper, author, speaker, coach, Oxford graduate. He's got a podcast, he's got a fitness ebook, and just going through his Twitter page or Twitter his Twitter basically, he actually puts out some good stuff, so I decided to give him a follow. But so go check him out. But I wanted to talk about this tweet specifically, and it was very, I mean, not that I didn't already know, but I like pointing these kind of things out because it's very eye opening to people, and especially when you put it in, put it like this. But anyway, he goes on to say Nazism was attempted once. It killed 6 million plus people. I mean, estimates show it directly killed that many, but indirectly maybe 15, 20 million is what I've seen. Again, the numbers vary because it was so crazy that there's no way of knowing exactly how many people were killed by it. But anyway, and the ideology was abandoned. Those who promote it are rightly shunned. Communism has been tried multiple times in multiple nations. It killed over 100 million people in the 20th century, yet many people still think it's a good idea. And when I talk about politics nowadays, this is kind of the kind of stuff I'm bringing out, and the kind of things I can't stand is that you have generally three general sides when it comes to politics. You got the left, you got the middle, and you got the right. The left, absolutely certain of all their positions, no self doubt whatsoever. The middle, tons of self doubt, can never nail them down. Um, just as critical of the right as they are of the left, even though this is a direct contradiction of that belief. The right, a decent amount of self doubt. Generally, it's one of their downfalls, if you ask me. Um, Relatively sure of their positions, but like I say, calling a lot of people on the right racist is enough to shut them up and enough to not get them to vote. So that's kind of the differences between the left and the right. But the thing I wanted to talk about is that, like I said, communism has been tried so many times, and ended up as a complete disaster every time. And yet, whenever you talk to people, especially apolitical people, whenever you point out Nazism, it's always this, gasp, and people understand the horrors of it. But when it's communism, it's always like yeah, it's bad, but it's good in theory, like, or it's always maybe not directly saying, but indirectly saying, yeah, it's not that bad. Like that's basically the argument, and it's like they're like to tie it into their argument for gun control is always, oh, if we could save one life. But yet if we had the choice between getting rid of communism in the 20th century and going forward, or Nazism, we'd have been way better off to not have communism, like literally 10 times as much as, better. Um, but yet that's where we're at, and like that's what I wanted to talk about, is that um, the left is much better than the right on their optics, I guess, in that, they always their solution always double down, never admit you're wrong. The right solution is generally the opposite. It's generally um, more right, in that, yeah, we'll admit when we were wrong and not admit when we weren't wrong. The left is never admit when you're wrong. It's rules for radicals, basically. That's basically the leftist playbook nowadays. I mean, Hillary Clinton praised Saul Alinsky, the writer of that, which is basically a communist writer. He wrote Rules for Radicals. Basically, accuse others of what you're doing, which is what you always see with the left. They cheated they cheated their own election, the DNC. What do? They accuse Trump of cheating. um, they have their solution to helping the poor just creates more poor people. What do they do to the right? Accuse them of hating poor people. They claim about saving lives, but yet, they're perfectly fine with, late term, partial birth abortions. Like, I mean, if you want to, I still disagree with abortion personally, but if you want to me, there's even no Philosophically, I don't think there is. To me, morally and ethically, I think it's even more morally and unethical to kill a baby that's going to be born tomorrow or in the process of being born than it is to kill one that, was just, a week old. Like, yeah. And then the left doesn't think that. And, other things too. Oh, gun control, even though gun control doesn't save any lives, but um I'm going off on a tangent, but basically, I wanted to make a video about this because most people don't realize this kind of stuff, especially the layman. I mean, most of the people watching this probably understand this kind of stuff, probably heard about it, but most of the average people out there haven't, and it's scary too because you're still communist countries or at least borderline like socialism, communism. You're walking the razor's thin edge there too. That's a lot of people say, oh no no no, it's just socialism. Well, you know how close it is. And not only that, when you implement socialism, a lot of the supporters are communists. Like look at Project Veritas with James O'Keefe, uncovered literally multiple, upwards of, 10, 12 communists working for Bernie Sanders, and that's in 2 states. Bernie Sanders literally probably has hundreds of just people working for him that are communists, let alone voters. Like that's the other like that's the big problem with people say, "Oh no 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 no, it's just socialism." Well, a very large percent of those people that agree with you are communists that understand, hey, the step between where we're at now and communism is socialism. And if we can get socialism, we're that much closer to communism. So that's why we cannot have socialism, even though we already do have large aspects of socialism, especially in Canada. But anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. I wanted to make a video about it because people don't really understand this kind of stuff. And understanding of history is pretty bad when it comes to most people. And they need to know this kind of stuff. So basically, I'm going to leave it there. If you like the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Check out my PayPal. I appreciate any donations. And stay tuned for more.